Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF Yomi, Maseches Bava Kamma DAF Mem Aleph. We are holding at the Mishnah, which is 9 lines from the top of the Amud. Says the Mishnah, Shoyer shenagachas adam umeis. If a bull attacks a person who dies, Muad mishalom kaifer. If this shur is known to attack people, he's a muad with respect to killing people, then the owner has to pay that kaifer, pay out that compensation to the victim's family, which we discussed yesterday. V'tam patam na kaifer. But if this shur is, it's only his first, second time around, so then there's no kaifer payment. V'zev chayav misa. But either way, if a shur kills a person, whether in a tam or muad state, the shur is put to death, and the Gemara of course will ask, if he's put to death the first time around, how does he ever get to become a muad for killing people, which would trigger the kaifer payout? The Gemara will deal with that. V'chein beben, v'chein bebas. All these halachas apply whether the shur killed an adult or a young boy or girl. Nogach evedayt Amma, however, if he kills an eved kanani or a maid servant, there's an established rate in the Torah for that. Noisin shleishim slime, you pay 30 selah, irrespective of the value of the eved. Bein shu yafa mea mana, whether he's a very, very valuable eved worth 100 mana, ubein sheina yafa ladinor echad, whether only worth one measly coin. Asks the Gemara that question. Once the Mishnah tells us that even a shur tam who attacks and kills a person is put to death, how did you ever get to establish a track record for killing people? He's no longer around after the first time. So the Gemara now endeavor to find many, many different types of situations where this would be possible. He's an established killer, but he's still alive. Amar Rabba, my Skinner was speaking, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, he didn't actually kill those people. He chased them. He tried to attack them. We estimate that had he caught up with them, he would have killed them. That's enough to establish him as a killer, although he didn't actually kill, and therefore is not put to death. So he's considered a mu'ad for killing people, and ultimately if he kills somebody now, kaifer payout is in place. Rav Ashi Omar, he disagrees. Just evaluations, lav klumu, that's not something to reckon with, because he didn't actually kill a person. Ella, my skin, and rather was speaking, he critically injured 3 people on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and they only died today. So today, he has an established track record. He's a mu'ad to kill people, but he's still around because until today, his victims hadn't died, and therefore he was not deserving of being put to death. So that's how you have a mu'ad for killing who's still around. Rav Zvid Amar, he killed 3 people, 3 animals. So he's a killer animal, he's a killer, a shur, but he's not being put to death until today when he kills a person. Just because he kills animals, does that establish him as a mu'ad for killing people? It's more difficult to kill a person. A person has mazel and a malach that protects him. We had it back on that base and base. The case can be like this. On Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, he killed 3 goyim. So now he's a mu'ad for killing, but the shur is not put to death because he has yet to kill Yisrael, which only happened today. But why is he a mu'ad for killing if it's only goyim? Who don't have such big mazel and malach have a mu'ad to Yisrael, that makes him a mu'ad for Yisrael? No. That can't be the case. Rather, what happened was Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, he killed 3 people, but they were treifa. They were unhealthy people. They had critical internal wounds slated for premature death, in which case, if a person or an animal kills such a person, as terrible as it is, he's not chayav misa. So on the one hand, since he did it over and over again, he's established a track record for being a killer animal, but he's not been put to death until today when he actually kills a healthy person. Once again, the same question of mu'ad l'treifa, have a mu'ad l'shalom, just because he's known to kill treifas, which are relatively more susceptible to this type of attack. They succumb to wounds quicker than a healthy person. So why does that make him a mu'ad for healthy people? Elam Rapapa, I'll tell you the case that follows. The katal va'arak la'agma. When he killed a person, a healthy person on Sunday, he ran off to the swamp. He was out of reach. He escaped. So therefore we couldn't catch up with him and kill him. The katal va'arak la'agma. Same on Monday, same on Tuesday. And only today did we finally catch up with him, but it's too late. He's already holding out his 4th victim. So you can have a mu'ad for killing who's still alive. Rav Achaber the Ravika Amar, here's a halachic arrangement which would explain this story. What happened was like this. On Sunday, 2 Edom came that he killed a person, followed by another pair of Edom who are going to make the first Edom Zemimin. What are you talking about? You witnessed this incident in Chicago? You were with us in New York at that very moment. And the Torah adopts the testimony of the second pair, and now the first pair are called Edom Zemimin. They're plotters. And we cancel their testimony. The same happened on Monday with respect to another killer incident. The same happened on Tuesday. So we sort of kept on getting this impression that the shur killed people, but it was immediately undone by the second pair who now made the first pair Zemimin. But on Wednesday, the same thing happened again. 2 Edom came, you killed. 2 Edom came and said, what do you mean? You were in Chicago? You were with us in New York. But now came another pair of Edom and said, 1 second. The second pair who are claiming that the first pair's testimony is false, you yourself are false Edom. You're falsifying your account. You had said to the first pair, how could you testify about this incident in Chicago? Because you two were with us in New York. Well, guess what? We're coming and claiming that you, the second pair, were not even in New York at that time. You were in LA with us at that time. And they're saying the same thing regarding all the second pairs on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. How could you falsify the first testimony claiming that you were with them at a certain place? You were with us at a different location. So basically what happens now is that we restore, right, because we undid the falsification, we restore all those Edom. We've now reestablished the Edom of Sunday who claimed that the shur killed. On Monday he killed, Tuesday he killed, Wednesday he killed. So now it's been revealed, it's been discovered that the shur really killed people. But we didn't know about that until today. We had figured the Edom were false. The second pair who made the first pair Zemimin, they are called Zemimin. They are now Zemimin themselves. They were Huzam, they became Zemimin themselves by this third pair. So we have a beautiful case where the animal turns out to be a killer animal, but the incidents weren't really addressed until today when it's been discovered those incidents were incidents that really occurred. But the thing is, all 3 incidents were now brought to the forefront today, right? So how does the shur become a muad? Don't you need to space it? You need to give the owner some time to get his act together and, apply some shmira to the shur, right? So nicha, that only works ilu yuda tura. But if the whole point of that repetitive, attacking pattern required to make him a muad is only there to establish the shur as a violent animal. So even if it's sort of lumped together and been discovered all on the same day, Shaper, it still makes the shur a muad because evidently he developed this violent nature. If the point of making a muad, the point of putting the owner on notice is, also to allow the owner to get his act together and add to the shmira on the shur, then how can you just, sort of lump it all at the same time and sort of pile it on to the owner and hold him accountable for everything all at once? Meimar Amar, you can say, look, Amarle, I didn't know until today. I Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we figured this whole thing was false. So how could you just do this all at once? The answer is going to Amri because the last pair of Edom are saying, Kol emas de kotel turei gabei habakoy, because they're saying, look, we happen to know that whenever the incidents happened, your animal killed, Kol emas de kotel turei, your Torah killed, gabei habakoy, you were standing right there. So true. Halachically speaking, technically speaking, in Bezdin, we did not establish it as a fact until today, as we explained. But ultimately, it's been discovered you were there. You were appraised of the whole story as it was happening, so you can't claim to be innocent. Ravina Amar, I'll give you another example. A shur muad who was not put to death until today. So the Edom who came on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, they recognized the owner of the violent bull. They know that one of your animals killed a person, but the problem is they couldn't point a finger to the actual bull. They couldn't identify the actual attacker, so we could not address the actual animal until it's been identified today. So we can have a shor who is a muad, but is still around. But then the question is, what do you want from the owner? If you didn't tell him which animal it was, what do you want him to do? Because look, they tell him, you have a violent attacking bull, islach bebikrach, together in your herd. Go watch everything. Don't take chances. So yeah, blame is pinned on the owner for not locking up all those animals. Okay, bottom line, the Mishnah tells us that a shor who killed a person is put to death, but kafir only applies when he's a muad to doing so. How do you get to a muad for killing people and still be around after all that? So the Gemara gives us many examples, some of which were disputed by the other Amoraim, and some which stay till the end. So if a shor attacks and kills a person, he's put to death. Taner Rabban. We had the same Gemara, almost word for word, back in Kedushin, DAF and Bava Kamma. Taner Rabban. Mashma shenamar. Sokol yisokol ashor. Once the Torah tells us that the shor is put to death by skila, by stoning, don't I already know that he's an avela, that you can't eat him? We of course know that there's no shchita, it's an avela, you can't eat it. Why does the pasuk have to go and stress that you can't eat it? The Torah is here teaching us a chiddush. Not only when he was stoned is he asur b'achila, but even if you quickly chapped around, you did a shchita after the Bezdin issued their verdict. So you did it before the skila, asur b'achila, you can't eat it because it's already asur. Only ela b'achila, so perhaps it's only limited to isra achila. What about benefiting from the animal in a different way? B'hana minayin, the pasuk says, ubal ashar naki, the owner has been cleansed. What does that mean? My mashma, how do you see from there? Shimon ben Zayma explains, like a person tells his friend, poor fellow over there, look, he's bankrupt. Fellow was cleansed of his possessions, and he has no benefit in them. So that's the expression here of Naki. The owner cannot benefit anything in any way from the animal once it's slated for skila. Asks the Gemara, how do you know this pasuk is coming to tell you this? The that after the Gemar Din, if the shchita was done at that point, you can't eat it. How do you know such a great chiddush? Perhaps I'll say, if the shchita occurred at that point, you can have the animal. Maybe the point of lo yachal is to tell you that after the skila, the asur ba'anahu, you can't even enjoy it. Why is lo yachal pertaining to isra hana? Because Ravo tells us that these lashonis can encompass achila and hana. Whenever we find in Torah any of these expressions, any of these lashonis can mean anything. It incorporates the isra to eat and the isra to have hana, which is also sort of a form of consumption. How do we know that lashon achila include hana? I have a raya from nevela. Because by nevela, the pasuk simply says don't eat, and then the pasuk has to stipulate that you can have hana, you can have benefit, you can sell it to the guy, give it as a gift to the ger toshav. Why does the Torah have to allow that to you? Why would I think you can't have hana from a nevela where it's only isra achila? Apparently, lo yisaychal includes both, and therefore the Torah had to make exception by nevela. Here, it's mutter b'hana. Until the Torah stipulates, like benevela, that there's an exception, you can have the hana. Otherwise, it's included in the isra achila. Leger b'nesina, you can sell to the guy, you give it to the ger toshav as a gift. So that's the question. Why? Why do you conclude that lo yachal b'sarai is telling you can't even eat the animal before Gemar Din, before the Shkila, because that's the point of the pasuk. Maybe the point of the pasuk is to tell you, after Shkila, after Bezdin applied the punishment of Skila, I understand you can't eat it. But Yachal maybe is coming to include even Isra Hana, which you wouldn't know otherwise. So perhaps if you did the Shchita before the Skila, it's mutter. It's only a point of after Skila, don't eat it, don't have Hana. Amri, So the response is like this. Hanimili, when do we say that any of these phrases, any of these expressions, lo yoichal, lo seichlu, will include achila and hana? Heicha de nafikle, isra achila, isra hana, mikra, mi lo yoichal. That's only when the phrase lo yoichal is actually coming to introduce to us both things. Don't eat and don't have hana. So we can understand that it's sort of wrapped together, bundled in one word. Aval hocha. But in the case of the shur that's being put to death upon killing a person, the isra achila misakli sakla nafka. How do we know that we don't eat it after skila? Because he went through skila, he's an avela. So isra achila is already checked off. That we know. The only thing we may not know is isra hana. So isa kadaita chaylo yochal espesarei isra hanahu. So if the lashon lo yochal espesarei is just coming to forbid hana, then the Torah would just say hana. Why would the Torah use a lashon which relates to achila if it's just coming to tell you hana? If it's coming to tell you both, I understand. So we use sort of an umbrella phrase which includes both. But if achila is already known, it's just coming to add hana. The Torah would just say, don't have hana. Inami. Another response would be lo yachal. Fine, let's say the Torah is coming to tell you hana by using the word lo yachal, but just say lo yachal. Es besari lamali. Why add the word es besari if it's just coming to tell you don't have hana? Oh, it must be the Torah is coming to add another point, a totally new point. The afik of the avdeke basar. Es besari, you made it into flesh. You shechted it before the skill. The shachte, it's still us. So that's the answer to the question. Lo yachal es besari is referring to shchita before the skill. Don't have hana, don't have achila. Maskef lamar zotru. Ema hanim ili hecha the badak tzor v'shachat by. I understand that even if the animal had shchita, but if it's after the Gemar din, you can't have anything from it. But maybe that's only when the shchita was reminiscent of stoning. Hecha the badak tzor v'shachat by, he took a rock, he checked it, he made sure it's sharp, and he did the shchita, the abdikein shchita, which is sort of, similar to stoning. So maybe there we say it's too close to stoning, it resembles stoning, and therefore it's asr. But maybe if you use a regular knife, it's okay. Amri, so the answer is, what difference does it make? Shchita is a shchita, is a shchita. Ato sakin ksivi b'raisa. Does the Torah anyway even mention shchita with a sakin? Anything that you use, any sharp instrument works. There's no advantage to a knife over a rock, and you can't suggest as such. V'atanan, hashechet b'magal yad, b'tzur, b'kon, a person uses a sickle, a stone, a sharp reed, it works. Shchitos ekshir. That's the answer to your question. Asks the Gemara. Now, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that lo yachal b'sara incorporates isra achila and hana. So we know that if the animal was shechted before the skila, right, and certainly after the skila, the animal is totally asr b'achila and b'hana, right? So then, why does the Torah have to add balashar naki, that the owner is now, cleansed of his possessions? He can't have any hana. Balashar naki lamali. Why do we need that for? We already know they can't benefit in any way, whether through achila or hana, because lo yachal includes both. Answers the Gemara, the words balashar naki is coming to tell you something else. That not only can't he have the flesh, but he can't even benefit from the skin of the animal. Perhaps I would say, you can't have the flesh, but the skin you could. That he loses the entire animal. That's good and well if balashar naki is available for this drasha. But but according to the Tanaim later on Daf Mem Beis, Be'ez Hashem, as we're going to learn later in Daf Mem Beis, who apply the pasuk balashar naki for other halachis. Hanas minalu. So how do they know that you have to keep away from the skin of the animal? The answer is nafkalu. They learn it from the pasuk may es besarei. It says lo yachal es besarei. Es is an add-on, coming to include something else as well. Es hatafal besarei, the skin which is secondary to the flesh. Mind you, what is that? The skin of the animal. Now, this drasha of es is not universal. V'hai tana es leidorish. The other Tana who derive the isser of the skin of the from ubala sharnaki and not from the extra word es, v'haitana es dorish does not expound, does not focus, does not derive anything from the word es, as we're going to see in the brisa coming up in a minute. Kedesani, Shimon ha'amsuni, that was his name, but Amrila, some say it was a different person, Nechemya ha'amsuni. Initially, he would darshan all the s's in the Torah. Hayidarish kol es in Shabbat Torah. Every time it says s, he would work on it and figure out what the Torah had in mind with the extra word. But at what point he got stuck. Kivan she'egia le'es Hashem l'kechatira. The pasuk says you're meant to have awe and fear from Hashem. S. What's the S coming to add? What could he add to Hashem? What can be equated and put on the same level Chas v'shalom as Hashem? Pirish. So he backed off. He says, evidently, S is not meant to include anything because it's impossible in this case. So just like it doesn't work here, we're going to delete and cancel all our efforts. Evidently, S is just an expression. It's just sort of an add-on, a mode of speech, of expression, and it's not really coming to teach you anything. Pirish. So he backed off. So now the Talmidim turned to him and says, what happened to all your efforts, all your years of toil? Rebbe, call Essensha the Rashta. What about all the S's that you did? Figure out, Mate Aleinu, what's going to be with all that work? Omar Lam, he says, look, that's the way it works. Just like Hashem will reward me for all the efforts that I expounded when I toiled and discovered, at least at that point, I thought that was the true meaning of the S. Likewise, now when I back off out of deference to Hashem, because as we explained, it's impossible to include anything in the word S when it relates to Hashem's Yira. So this is a tremendous expression of Yiras Hashem, of closeness to Hashem, of kavod to Hashem, and if anything, this gives me more schar than in everything else. But that was up until a certain point. Rabbi Akiva came along and he says, I'll tell you what it means. And he taught that Es, Hashem el-Kechatira, does have deeper meaning. L'Rabbi Talmid Chachamim, who are subordinate to Hashem and relating with deference and honor and yira to Talmid Chacham because of the Torah and the closeness to Hashem that they embody is really a kavod to Hashem, and therefore it's fair. It makes sense that it would be put in the same pasuk, and yes, Es does have significance in this case as well. So bottom line is, there was a shita that S is not coming to teach us anything. That was Shimon HaMsuni's approach, and that corresponds with the brisa before, who could not learn anything from S, rather he learned it from Ubala Sharnaki. Tanu Rabbanu, Ubala Sharnaki. So the animal attacked a person, killed him. The owner of the shur is naki, meaning he doesn't have to pay anything. So he put the animal to death, but the owner is not obligated to pay anything. What does that mean? What would he have to pay? We would think just like an animal. We're speaking about a tam, right? Just like by damages. If he's a muad, you pay fully. If he's a tam, you pay 50%. So likewise, when he kills a person, if he's a muad, the owner pays kaifer, and if he's a tam, doesn't have an established track record for killing people, so perhaps the owner has to pay half kaifer, like chatzi nezek. That's the pasuk ubala sharnaki to tell you naki b'chatzi kaifer. There's no half kaifer payments. Amalei Rabbi Akiva, why would you say so? Again, we're speaking about a tam. A tam, well, there the actual animal is the object of your lien, of your claim, right? It's migufay that you collect your payment. So it would be impossible in this case because bring the animal to Bezdin and take your payout from the animal, which obviously is impossible because the animal killed a person and it's going to be put to death himself. There's no animal to take from. So why would you even think that the tam has to pay kafir? There's nothing to pay from when he's put to death upon killing a person. Rabbi Lezer responds to Rabbi Akiva. This is how you relate to me? You think that I'm making such a grave mistake? That I'm discussing an animal who's being put to death. Ein dini, my point was, My point, to exempt the owner from Chatzi Kaifer is relating to a case where the animal is not being put to death. If you kill the person, but there's only one aid to testify, so the animal is not being put to death. Or the owner is admitting that it happened, so again, he's not being put to death. So you have an animal killed, but is not being put to death. He's a tam. Perhaps you would pay Chatzi Kaifer. Migufay. And the Chiddush is, no, you don't pay Chatzi Kaifer by a tam. Well, says the Gemara, how can this case work? Al pi balim. Why would you even think that the owner has to pay Chatzi Kaifer when he's the one who initiated, who informed us that his animal killed? That's Moed B'Knas. He's admitting to a penalty, and we know that Moed B'Knas is Potter. Moed B'Knasu. Well, says the Gemara, Kaifer is not a Knas. Kasava Kufra Kapara. He's going with the approach that Kaifer is an atonement. It's a Kapara. It's not a penalty payment. And of course, that could be initiated by the owner as well. That's what I would think. Right? That we allow the owner to come forth and pay the kaifer or the chatzi kaifer to get a kapara. The chiddush is no. Ubala sharnaki, a tam never pays kaifer, whether full or half. Tani idach. There's another approach to this back and forth between Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Lezer. Amar Rabbi Lezer. So once again, the pasuk says bala sharnaki, to which Rabbi Lezer adds naki mechatzi kaifer. The owner of a shar tam who kills a person doesn't pay 50% kaifer. Amar tani idach. Amar Rabbi Lezer. So Rabbi Lezer responds to him. Sorry, so first Rabbi Kiva says to Rabbi Lezer, right? What do you mean? Why would he pay anything? So the animal's being put to death, there's nothing to take from. To that Rabbi Lezer responds, Rabbi Lezer, Akiva, kachani b'necha. That's how you relate to me. Shadini bazeh shachayim. You think I'm speaking about a case where the animal's being put to death? No, ain't dini. I'm speaking only el b'miskaven la'argasa behema, v'argasa adam. That sure, he killed a person, but he wasn't intending on killing a Yisrael. He was intending on killing an animal. He was aiming for the animal and killed a person. Or a guy, you killed a yid, the mitzvah v'arg Yisrael. Or the animal was intending on killing an afalim, a newborn who was not yet established as a viable child. V'arg ben kayama, he ended up killing a viable child. So basically, he killed a healthy person. It turns out that his victim was a Yisrael, was a healthy person, and the animal is now liable. But since the intent was not to kill this person, Rashi brings the Gemara later that he's putter from skila. The animal is not being put to death. So perhaps in this case is a point of at least some monetary compensation. And since he's a tam, half kaifer will be in place. Sure, migufa, take it from the animal. The animal's around, not being put to death because it wasn't intentional. Okay, so that was Rabbi Lezer's response, to which Rabbi Kiva did not have an answer. Whereas the Gemara before, in the first back and forth, the Gemara did come back with another answer, that you can't suggest it's the owner who is bringing this to the forefront because Moed Knas is potter. To that the Gemara responded, kufr kapara. Okay. Now, Hayam Liberation. Which one of these, responses did Rabbi Lezer say first? Right, because again, the pasuk says Balashar Naki. Okay, he's Naki. He's sort of free. What does that mean? We're speaking about a shar tam who killed. Don't think he has to pay 50% kaifer. Says Rabbi Lezer, Naki mechatzi kaifer. Rabbi Kiva had a question. Why would he pay anything? He's a tam. And he's being put to death. He's not here to take from. Right? The tam is only Mishtalim Megufa. He's not here. So there were two possible responses. In the first version, Rabbi Lezer says, what do you mean? The animal killed, but he's not being put to death because it was the aid echad. It was just one aid that's testifying. Or it was the owner. On that we had a response. What do you mean? The owner can't obligate himself, it's a knas. And Rashi adds, likewise the Eid Echad can't do that. You can only obligate payment with two Eidim. So the Gemara responded to that, well, when it comes to the question of the Moed B'Knas, it's a kapara, it's not a knas. The second version was that Rabbi Lezer responded by saying, well, it was unintentional. The animal killed, but it was meant for the animal. He was aiming for the animal, ended up killing a person. So true, he killed a person, but he's not being put to death. So you can have a killer tam who's not being put to death. And since he's around, you can theoretically collect from the animal, and the chiddush of the pasuk is, no, you don't pay chatzi kaifer. So the question is, which one of these answers came first? Apparently the Gemara is assuming both actually took place. Which one first? Now, realistically, the the second one is more solid because there's no response to the second response. The case which Rabbi Lezer is depicting works. The animal intended on killing a behemoth and killed a person. So he killed a person, but he's not being put to death because it was unintentional. So you can have the animal around to draw from, right? Whereas the first, response, the one with the Eid Echad or the Baalim, that's problematic because, the Baalim is Moed B'Knas perhaps, the Eid Echad, who says he has the ability to instigate payment. So which one came first? The second one, which is more solid, or the first one, which is sort of shaky? Hayam Liberation. Rav Kana Mishmed Rava Amar Miskavan Amal Liberation. It was a second thing with the Miskavan story, that came first. Rav Tavim Mishmed Rava Amar, no, Hamas Amal Liberation. It was the first thing with the Hamas, Api Eid Echad, Api Baalim, that was responded to first. That was his first response. Now why? Rav Kana Mishmed Rava Amar Miskavan Amal Liberation. It was the second response that came first. Because, that's a solid response without any refutation. Mashal, example, a fisherman. A fisherman goes fishing. Okay, so he has a choice. Which fish he's going to grab first, the big ones or the small ones? So, first, if he finds the big ones, he takes the big ones first. And then only later on, he settles for these small ones when he runs out of big ones. Mashkech Rav Rishakal. He first takes the big ones. Zut Rishakal, and afterwards he takes the small ones to fill his bucket. Likewise over here, chances are Rabbi Lezer responded with a more solid response first, and then with the secondary response. Rav Tavim Mishmed Rav Amar, no. Hamas Amal Liberation. First, Rabbi Lezer came with the first answer, which is a little bit shaky. Why? Mashal Etzayed Shel Dagim Nayam. Again, an example, a mashal of a tzayad who is fishing his fish off the sea. So, as soon as he sees any fish, even a small one, he grabs it thinking, well, maybe this is my last chance. So he takes whatever he gets. So, first thing comes to mind, that's what you say. And then later on, if now he comes and he finds a big fish, okay, he says, a waste to fill my bucket with small fish. Shadi, he throws out the small ones, and grabs the big ones, and he fills his bucket with the big ones. Here as well, initially Rabbi Lezer came up with an answer which isn't necessarily the most substantiated response, but listen, you have nothing to lose. And then, when he came up with a better answer, he sort of discarded the first one and replaced it with the second one. Okay, but ultimately Rabbi Lezer responded to Rabbi Kiva satisfactorily, and he explained the halacha. Why do we need a pasuk nalki mechatzi kaifer by a tam? Because we can have a tam who killed and is still around, for whatever reason. I would think that the owner has to pay kaifer, not full kaifer, but chatzi kaifer, and the chiddush is no. The concept of kaifer is specific to a muad and never to a tam, at least according to these shittas in the Gemara. Okay, let's go back to the Mishnah. A shor that killed a person, if he's a muad, there's kaifer. If there's tam, there's no kaifer, as we just explained. Either way, the shor is put to death. And the question was, how do we even get a shor who's an established killer if right away, starting from the first incident, he's being put to death? We had many examples, many cases in the Gemara that make it work. We have a chiddush that not only is the shor going to be asher ba'achila and ba'ana after he's put to death, the same applies even if the shechita happened before he's put to death, after the verdict of the bezdin was issued. And it's all learned from the psukim. We had the drasha of the Es with Rabbi Kiva, Es the Rabbah Tamet HaChachamim, and then we had this discussion between Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Kiva to explain the pasuk Ubal Ashar Naki Mechatzi Kaifer. All the best to you and Atzlacha Rabbah.